What's up, guys? It's Jacob back here again with the 2001 CR125. We took a little break from it, but this is part 2, and today we will be cleaning the carburetor on it. So I'm gonna do a how-to video on cleaning the Mikuni carburetor. It's a TMX. So if your CR125 has this carburetor, I'll be showing you how to clean it. I know these things pretty well because I've had an 03 and I've had to do a whole bunch of work to that one. So stay tuned, and also stay tuned for this project. We'll be finishing up within the next couple weeks. So let's just go ahead and dive right into the video. First thing you want to do, I'm sure the bike's been sitting for a while, like this one. It's been sitting for probably a year and a half, so this gas is no good. So we're just gonna go ahead and drain all the gas out of it, get it all out of the tank, and then I will show you guys how to pull the actual carburetor off. I know on the 03 they say the easier way is to pull the subframe off, but I think I know a way to pull it off without even doing that for you guys. So stay tuned and we'll get right to it. Okay, first step you want to do after you drain the gas out of your carburetor, you're gonna have to take the subframe off. So you're just gonna start with the seat bolts, usually a 10 mil. Just zip those out real fast. It's easier if you have a impact. It's most of the time it's 10 mil on the seats, but this one's a 12 mil. They're probably using the wrong bolts. Set those aside. Then you just want to slide your seat off. Just slides right off. And that's pretty surprising. This thing doesn't even have an air filter. That's horrible. So make sure yours has an air filter. Set your seat aside. Once you have your seat bolts off, which is just 2 bolts right here, then you got 1 bolt right here, which they made a hole to go through, and that looks like another 12 mil. And you just stick your extension right through there. Get that bolt off, and then there's this bolt, which is another 12 mil, and then on the other side, this bolt, a 12 mil, and then your exhaust. If you got a little exhaust grommet, that should just slide off, and I'll show you. It's just gonna slide off. So we're gonna zip those bolts off real fast and get to it. Once you zip those bolts out, you can just unwind them. The 2 on the side, and then there's just going to be 1 in the middle, which is going to be a longer bolt, so it's going to slide off. And this is probably the hardest step of it all, but all you do is just grab it. Let me get on the other side so you guys can see. The exhaust is already detached, so now it's just the boot, which this one doesn't have a clamp on it, but if it does, you're going to want to loosen that. And then this just slides off as one piece, and when you go to install it, it'll just slip right back on nice and easy. So you just want to set this aside. Okay, so you're going to want to get the back spring out of the way. So you're going to need a 14 and a 17 wrench, and you're just going to want to break it loose. Shouldn't be too hard. Spray it with some WD-40 if you're having trouble. You're going to want to lift and tap on that with a hammer or something to get it out. And you should be able to wiggle it out. And there's your rear spring bolt. You just want to lift on the back tire and slide that down. And now we have access to take the carburetor out all the way. The next step we're going to do after we get this shock out of the way is there's 2 7mm bolts on the top of the throttle slide. You just want to take those out, and then the slide should come out, and then you should be able to access the carburetor and put it on the workbench. Okay, so we now have the carburetor on the workbench, and don't worry, I'll be going over everything of why your carburetor might be leaking, just what the symptoms are and how to fix it. So first step is you're gonna have a couple bolts on the bottom, but As you can see, this bike was previously mistreated a lot, so there's a missing bolt right here, and I've honestly never seen a carburetor that didn't have a bolt on it. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off and see if that releases our bowl. It is a 17 mil. Go ahead and break it loose. And that does it. That will release your bowl. And there is supposed to be a screw right there in that corner, so I'm missing that screw. And the gasket looks pushed down, so if you're leaking gas out of the seam, a lot of times it could be the gasket right here, or your screws aren't tight enough, and whatnot. So, and this one doesn't look that bad. So usually when you take your float off and it's been sitting for years, you're gonna see a lot of gunk down there, and it's just not good for it. So we're gonna dig a little deeper and see why this carburetor personally leaked when it was running. For the last time, it was leaking out of the drain tube, so the needle valve wasn't seating all the way. So I'll show you guys what to do. So we're first going to start with taking the float off, and to do that you're going to need to take this off with a Phillips head screwdriver. Make sure that you have the exact size and not to strip these screws, because they are very easily to strip, and then you will need to get them out. But this one seems to be coming out pretty good. Alright, get the screw. You're going to want to just set it to the side. We'll remember everything. Then you're going to have the slide right here. Just take that out. Set it to the side. Here's your float that comes off with it. And you're going to want to inspect these to make sure that it has no holes in it, or there's nothing, no gas in them or anything. And this looks good, so we're going to set it to the side. This is one of your main reasons for the gas leaking. If this needle valve right here, you don't want to really mess with the tip. If that isn't sharp looking, or if it's coned off, then it's not going to stop the gas from flowing into the carburetor. So it's just going to keep allowing gas to flow in there, and you're just going to be dumping gas to the overflow tube. So that's one reason why. Another reason why is, which mine looks good, is the float height. So you're going to want to bend this tab to measure the float height, which we'll do later. We're going to want to take out this, where the needle valve seats, just held in by another small Phillips head. Hopefully you guys can see. Unscrew that. And if you guys have made it this far, please stop the video, pause it, go ahead and subscribe to me. Give a thumbs up. I really appreciate everything, and if this video has helped you so far, then just do that for me, and I'd really appreciate it. So let's continue. You're going to want to inspect the O-ring on this, make sure it's not cracked, which one time this one was cracked and I didn't know to pull it out and check, and that will also cause an overflow of the gas. So this one looks good. Everything's checking out so far. We're going to want to pull out our main jet, which is going to be a 10 mil or 8 mil it looks like, and then our pilot jet. And I'll explain to you, this is if your bike will start or maybe not start, but I'll explain to you what they do. So first, this is the pilot jet. Just take a flathead and you're going to want to remove it out. And you're going to want to look through this and see if you could see the daylight through the other side. And these easily get clogged up, and this will make your bike idle very poorly, because when you're before half throttle, the gas will flow through this, So if you're idling, that includes idling, the bike will die or just idle off, or when you're getting on the gas slowly, it'll bog down. It's because this is clogged. So we're gonna see if it's clogged. And this one is good. Not sure if you can see that. So that's gonna be the reason for your idle to half throttle bogging, or any sort of just not running right. Okay, so this is your main jet. You're gonna want to take an 8mm wrench, just break that loose, thread it out, and inspect this. This is when you're full throttle or over half, and usually these won't get clogged up, but the problem with these is the size is too big or small. So to declare that, you're gonna want to read the number on the side to see what size it is. Usually it's on the front, actually. This is a 130, I believe, main jet. So if you're having problems at full throttle, you're gonna want to mess with this jet, which you can actually change out by just taking the bowl off with the carburetor on the bike and accessing it with a 8mm socket, and just switch this out. So if you're bogging out, then you're probably getting too much gas and you want to go down a size. If you're feeling like it's lean or not reaching its max potential, then you want to up it, or if you got a pipe on it, then you want to up it. But this one is clean, so we're still going to clean everything. I recommend the carb cleaner, or some people use air. You can use a compressed air or air duster to clean these parts out, which I will. Now we're not gonna take off our choke because we know that works and everything, but if you're gonna want to, you're gonna take that bolt off. This right here is your idle speed. So another thing is, if you're not idling correct, then this will be the reason. All it is a I believe an 8mm. Yeah, it's an 8mm socket. You want to break it loose and then take a Phillips head and turn it clockwise to decrease the idle, and counterclockwise to increase the idle. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say it's 2.5 turns out is the stock, and then right here is another idle. That is 2 turns out. So from seated, so we will count how many this one was in. There's 1. So it was exactly two turns out. So this one's good. 1, 2. I might have went too far, but okay. Otherwise, you can dig deeper into the carburetor by taking out all of these, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna was just showing you how to clean the inside. So you're gonna want to clean all this up, clean your bowl, inspect the float height, which we will do to end the video, and just inspect all your pieces to get it running the right way. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this one up, and then we'll get back to you. To measure the float height on these, it's kind of hard to get from this angle, but you're gonna want to tilt where you could see the float at the needle valve. There's a little tab on it, a middle tab, and you want this gently rested on that center pin. So you're gonna have to hold it at an angle where it can just barely set on that center pin, and you're gonna want to measure from right here to the tip. It should be 17 millimeters according to the manual, and that's gonna be your float height. So if you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, check out my Instagram. It's the same as my YouTube, just with no G, so it's Ride In with Jacob. But we're gonna continue this project, part 3, and next video you'll see it running. I haven't started it in well over a year, so we're gonna throw everything back together. It's the same way you took it apart. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.